Hello and welcome to our program, Where God Weeps, a program where we talk about the situation of the suffering church around the world. The Republic of Madagascar, located in the Indian Ocean, is the fourth largest island in the world. Due to its isolation, many of its plants, animals, and birds are unique in the world. Notwithstanding this natural beauty, the island continues to struggle with deep poverty and political impasse. To tell us more, it is my great privilege to welcome His Excellency Bishop Georges Varkey of the Port-Berge Diocese in Madagascar. Welcome, Your Excellency, and thank you for being with us here today on our program.
Hello, good evening. It's a pleasure for me.
What would you say was the biggest shock when you arrived to this new country of Madagascar?
From my childhood onwards, I wanted to be a missionary. Already I was a missionary in India itself, because from Kerala I went to Karnataka and I was a priest in Chikmagalur Diocese in Karnataka. At that time, the Bishop of Chikmagalur, Bishop Alphonse Matthias, he told the priest meeting there was a letter from Madagascar from a bishop asking for missionaries like Fidei Donum and for the diocesan priest. Then he told that he would be ready to send 2 or 3 priests to become missionaries for 5 years. Then the MEP Society, that is the Paris Foreign Missionary Society, helped us to learn French first in Paris before going to Madagascar, because Madagascar was a French colony till 1960. So the first challenge was to learn the French language.
Yes.
It was not very easy, but that it was a challenge, and we 3 of us, and we learned that language and went to Madagascar, and about 6 months we learned the Malagasy language. And it is a very nice language. It's like something like Latin singing. So we liked it, no?
Can you say just a few words so we can hear it? For example, our Lord's Prayer, just a few lines of our Lord's Prayer in Malagasy. So you literally sing the language.
Yeah,
It is a sung language.
It is, see, when people ask, for example, how are you? Manawan tumko, akuriabe.
Yes, it's a very melodical language.
Yeah.
So this took you a while to get a grip on.
Yeah. So that was the language. Again, to learn the customs of the people. Once you know the language, then it will be easy to introduce yourself to the people. And usually for the missionaries, language is a barrier, because you have to allow the people by knowing the language. Then only you can communicate to them. Then to adapt to their situations, life situations, like food habits, like all other things we see, no? Mm-hmm. So that when we speak little of Malagasy in the beginning, then they were encouraging us. And that was an encouragement for us.
Yes.
Already you know, if you are speaking 2 or 3 words, no,
You were welcomed.
You were welcomed.
Yes.
That we saw that the people's nature, very loving people, very peaceful people, and they were welcoming people, no?
The Malagasy people are descending from, if I remember correctly from what I've read, Indonesians and Africans. In fact, it's quite an old culture. It's about 2,000 years old on the island. What would be the typical traditions of these island people, for example? I know that there's a great veneration of the ancestors, of the dead, that often they will continue even years after a person has died to venerate that person's body, to venerate that person's spirit. What are some of these traditions that you encountered?
Yeah, you are right in telling that. You see that the Malagasy people, they have come from different regions, like Africa, Indonesia, also from Arabian countries, and also Polynesia. So it is a mixture of all the languages. So they brought them also their culture, no, the people. And also, as you have told, they have got a big veneration for the dead. Because when someone is dead, and they are sad, but they are no more among the living ones. But they are going to join the big family of God, all the dead ones. That is the ancestors, the family of the ancestors. So they have got the family tombs, and in the family tomb, it is like a small room. So you can go inside, and one side is kept the gents, and the other side the ladies. So all those ancestors you can find that it's from this.
Buried in the house.
It is not buried. So they go and they put it. They wrap it in a cloth, no, or it is kept there. So the name will be there. So when there is some, where the main their feast is that they they take out all these bonds of the ancestors. Then they put in they will put in a new cloth. All this that is the biggest feast. And the people come and they dance and they drink, and then they again after they will keep for some days. All those who come, they receive the food. No, if they have got the possibility, then they put it back again. That is a feast, the religious feast, we can say, whether it is Christian or others.
Does this mean that when Christianity arrived on the island, because there was already a sense of this worship of the ancestors and the great family in the sky, that the knowledge or the understanding of God and the Holy Spirit and the spirits would have been welcomed because there was already a sense of the divine?
Yeah, you are right, because people already believe in a creator. Zanahari in Malagasy we say, and Imanta, that is a God, no? So they have got that belief. So it was easy for the missionaries to introduce that the God, the creator. So they can understand it, so, no? Because they know that when one is dead, then they go back to God, the creator. They become the big family. So that is why they just call, before doing anything in a big ceremony, they call the ancestors just, and they pour, if there is alcohol is used, they pour out little alcohol in order to please that their ancestors. Then they do all the ceremonies. That is the traditional way of doing the things.
Catholics number about 5 million on the island, I think about 1/4 of the population, if I'm not mistaken. How would you describe the faith of the Catholics on the island? Is it a mature faith? Is it a young faith? How would you characterize?
Yeah, we can say it is a young faith, because the missionaries started coming somewhere in the 19th century. So the London Missionary Societies came there, and there were the small kingdoms in Madagascar. Then some of them they were going on this Mozambique Canal, no? There is nearby, the other side, because as you have told that Madagascar is about 400 kilometers from the east coast of Madagascar, east coast of Africa. So they had come, these missionaries had come. But before that, some of these Lazarist missionaries or some of the other missionaries who were going to Goa, the Portuguese missionaries, that is just partly, they had landed there. Then they had taken one of the prince and they had taken to Goa, and they taught him catechism, and he was converted, but it was not welcomed by his family members. Then there was something happened and he was dead and all this, you know. So it did not continue. Then afterwards we see that about in the 19th century the missionaries coming, and as partly the Protestant missionaries. The Bible in Malagasy was translated in 1835. First Malagasy Bible by the London Missionary Societies, that is Reformed churches. In Madagascar we can say the main churches are this Reformed Church, the Catholic Church, the Lutheran Church, the Anglican Church. Then different denominations are there. As you have told, about 1/5 of the population, they are Catholics. We are having 21 dioceses in Madagascar, and there are a lot of possibilities of evangelization in this country. Because in many of the places, the remote places, the gospel hasn't reached.
So there's still primary evangelization to be done.
In my diocese itself, it is a primary evangelization, we can say. Most of the places, no, especially in the coastal areas, the missionaries first, they came from Tamatave, the main port, then they came to, or from Majanga, the port, they came to Tananarive, the capital. Then the high plateau, where we see many Christians, mainly Christians. But in the coastal areas, they are no more. They are not Christians.
Okay.
Yeah, they are.
Madagascar is considered to be one of the poorest countries in the world. I believe the World Bank has said that 95% of the population live on less than $2 a day. Now, that's extraordinary. And to address this question of poverty, how do you see this in a day-to-day life? Would that be one meal a day? How does this deep poverty reflect itself on a day-to-day situation?
Yeah, what you have said is correct, and you are well informed of that, because the World Bank had published a report telling that about 90%, 92% of the population of Madagascar are poor. That is true. And you see, it is known that Madagascar is one of the 5 richest countries in mineral in the world.
Wow.
Let it be gold, let it be diamond, let it be petrol, let it be mercury, let it be oil. Everything is in the underground.
Yes.
So it is not being exploited. But as you have told, in Madagascar, the rich country in minerals and everything is inhabited by poor people. That is what is correct. So the government have no projects in order to help the people. So that is the biggest problem. So the people are suffering. People are suffering. And some, as you have told, that some of them have one meal. Then they have got they cook the rice, and they will burn they will take out the rice and they will burn little rice, and they will pour water into that burned rice. They boil that rice and they drink. That is what we use for drinking, because the clean water is not found in most of the places, because the water has got this insect, all things, virus and all things like that, no? So there is another problem. And again, these people putting this rice in the pan, then they put water and they boil and they drink. Many people are doing like that. Now they are starting this one. Rice is the staple food of Madagascar, but it is not produced enough. But we know that Madagascar is about 6 lakh square kilometers in this area. But a lot of possibilities are there. Water is there, land is there, but
It's just development, in fact, that it requires.
Exactly, that is the thing. Yeah.
Moving from the poverty, the situation of poverty, of course, affects the most vulnerable, and 1 out of every 2 children suffers malnutrition in Madagascar. How can you work? How does the church, or is the church able to work in this question of malnutrition?
You are right, because when I go to visit the communities, Christian Catholic communities or the communities, I go on foot mainly, because last time I went about 200 kilometers, and one day I walked about 50 kilometers.
How long does it take you to reach your outstation?
Yeah, it depends. So it depends, no? How perhaps we can walk about 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers. I have gone up to 50 kilometers within one day. That is about 3 o'clock get up, and for about 3:30 you start walking. Then you find something to eat somewhere on the way, and it will be informed that then the rice in the morning, rice in the noon, rice in the evening. That is what in Madagascar usually. But if they have got it, so what is it? I tell them, we are not supposed to be suffering because of lack of food, because lack of money, but why we are suffering? Because we don't know how to use the God-given gifts.
Yeah.
That is what I tell. We have got land. Why don't we cultivate? So when I go to them, not only I speak of the religion, but before that I speak of God's love for everyone, and tell them that God has given all things to us. Why can't we use? So I tell them of the cultivation. You can cultivate rice, you can cultivate tapioca, you can cultivate other things like maize, or this one fruit trees and bananas, or oranges, or lychees, or things like that, mangoes.
And do you see the fruits of your work? Do the people listen to you? Do they then start to implement?
They listen, but what we need is that we need more animators. So the priest, I tell the priest, I tell the catechist, because you see, I got this got a big diocese. It is the case in many of the places in Madagascar, but we have not enough priest. So the catechist, lay people's roles are very important. So they have to be formed. That is one of my priority also, to form the lay catechist, and they become the salt of the earth and the light of the world, as Jesus has told. Not only the priest or the sisters or the bishop, but their importance is shown. So they have to be formed. That's why we are in different dioceses in places, they form little catechetical schools in order to form the catechist. And they go to the villages. And we need more technicians. Now in the rural areas we don't have. So they have to come from the high plateau. There they have got possibilities. Because we have seen where the churches evangelists, then they have developed a lot.
So where the church is established, the development follows.
Yeah, exactly.
Food security has also impacted education, because research has shown that poor households spend about 74% of their income only on food, which means that in Madagascar, approximately 1 million children are not going to school on a regular basis. Can you tell us a little bit about education and how the church is trying to confront this problem of education?
As I told, Madagascar is a quite vast country, and the government, because of this lack of this help from outside, they are not able to give education to all the people. Whereas the church, we are doing a lot, and other churches also, others also doing. We are helping the government to reach out to the children. And what you have told, that because of this, even in the public schools, the children have to pay. The parents are so poor, so they cannot afford the clothes or the other books or this one to buy. Even most of the children, they don't, those who go to the school, they have not textbooks. So it is very costly, and it is usually the medium of instruction is French and Malagasy, and slowly they are introducing English. We see that it is being introduced. Then again, see, because of this poverty, the children cannot go to the school. They don't have enough to eat. So in many places, some of the places, the church, they take initiative to help to have the little canteen and to have a midday meal like that. And also in certain places, other organizations like PALM, they are helping the children to have a midday meal like that, no? So for example, I can tell in my own diocese, there are Polish missionaries are working, Spirit and Fathers. They have started a canteen for the children. About 160 children are given midday meal. And when they eat, they started eating, and they were going to study. And the teachers have seen a lot of change in their results.
In their intellectual capacity.
Intellectual capacity.
Yes.
Yeah. Even they told, they were really surprised. So that is why one of the problem of the education, the education is not well done in Madagascar because of this poverty.
What about girls? For example, Madagascar families, do they favor the boys, sending the boys to schools, but the girls perhaps would stay at home? Or is it relatively equal, where the girls would also go as well to the education?
Yeah, we can see both the boys and girls are going, but relatively boys are more. The girls, they usually, we see that where there are, each family has got small children. So the children, the girls are bringing up, helping the mother to bring up the small ones. They will be carrying the small ones, and they will be going with the mother to help this one in the field or work what they are doing. So many of the girls are not going to the school, especially in the rural areas.
A tragedy which is also occurring in Madagascar is the growth of prostitution. In the capital city of Madagascar, in Toamasina, prostitution has grown to, I think, from 17,000 in 2003 to over 29,000 today. So the number of prostitutes is growing, and many of them are young women who see no other future for themselves. Can you tell us a little bit? What is the problem here, and how does the church try and perhaps provide an alternative for these young ladies?
It is true what you have told is that the prostitution is growing, and it's very sad to see little children, even they are not major ones, are waiting for some clients because of the poverty. And in certain areas in Madagascar, in the coastal areas, the parents, they themselves, I have seen, encouraging their children to go for that because of the poverty. So it is being exploited. Even the parents see that it is a means of getting a little money for them to live. So they don't see anything other than that, the consequences. It is a very sad thing. So the church is trying to, church or the government also is trying to help the children, but you see when the people come, they are searching kind of pleasure, and the poor children are victims. This is a sad thing. As such, we are in the church, different churches and all, we are telling them about it, what the parents' responsibilities. Because the parents also must take that responsibility to bring up their children and to show them what is the danger for their children by doing this kind of prostitution and all, no?
I want to, you've touched on the question of the government a number of times, and it is known that in Madagascar at the moment there is a political impasse. That is, since 2009, a transitional government took over from the then president, and everything has come to a block. The government has effectively stopped. What challenges does this bring, not only to all of the issues that we've talked about, but also for the relationship of the church to the government in many of these social questions?
Yeah, whatever government was there, we see that the government was already willing to work with the church, because they know that the church is helping the people, the nation, by all their developmental works or the education or the health. They are not. So no government was against the church activities. That is true. It is, as you have told, that it is a sad situation since 2009, where the political crisis is very alarming. And there is a transition government is there, the president is there, and now solution is not found still now. Election, it was many times told, and it was cancelled. We are hoping that there may be election on the 25th of October. It was announced by the government, and we may have it, but not sure. But there is a lack of political will. That's what we see. Different parties like that. This one, about main 4 parties are there. The previous president, three of them, and the present one. So they are not able to have a reconciliation. What is important is that reconciliation, a national reconciliation. Because unless there is a national reconciliation, I am afraid that even if there is an election, it may repeat. That is what we have seen. 1991, 97 again we had problem. Again 2002 we had problem. Again 2009 we have got problem. And this time it is this one lasting. And the people are, and all the governments, no government in the world has recognized this present transition government. So that is the problem. They have stopped all the helps.
Exactly, and this is the tragedy, is that international organizations have stopped their support help to Madagascar, which drives the people, of course, deeper into poverty. But what about this financial help? What can we do for you? Prayers, or is there concrete action, for example, what you need in your diocese to help your faithful and also the non-Christians in your diocese? What can we do?
Yeah, as you have asked, we need a lot of help, especially prayers. And you see the people, they are poor, but they believe in God. And what is our role as church? We to bring that God's love to them. That is especially through the education and the developmental works and through our witnessing. And we need help. In my area, and I told that this one, about 70% of the people, they are not educated. So unless the education is not there, development cannot be done. Because whatever we say, people hear, but they cannot understand. That is why education is very important. So first our priority is to make schools, small elementary schools, upper elementary schools, then high schools, then schools and technical schools. Then also to open small developmental centers to form the youth, and also through the schools teach the children to cultivate the rice or cultivate other things, to put in their mind the liking of that
self-sufficiency,
that they can do something, because people are good and they should be helped. And that way the church is trying in different means by giving formations. That is, formation is the priority for the church. So that is what we need formators. Let it be in the schools, let it be in the seminaries, let it be in the church, in all the fields. So slowly Madagascar is hoping that with the help of others, God will bless all the people very well. That is why one day I think that Madagascar will come to the forefront if all the riches of the country is being correctly exploited by the government with a correct target, correct goal for the development of the people. That is also especially through the education, through the development, also in health matters and good roads and everything is done. We request your prayers more for Madagascar. Thank you.
And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for having been with us today in our program, Where God Weeps. And if you'd like to know more about the situation of the church in Madagascar, or perhaps how you might be able to help, I would encourage you to look at the contact information at the end of this program. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.